Hi everyone, welcome back for another episode of Adams for the Love of Movie Picks. This time around, I'm going to be talking about the 2019 film Midway. Now, this movie has quite a few well-known actors in it. You've got Ed Skrein as Dick Best, Patrick Wilson as Edwin Layton, Woody Harrelson as Chester W. Nimitz, Luke Evans as Wade McCluskey, Mandy Moore as Ann Best, Luke Kleintank as Clarence Dickinson, Dennis Quaid as William Bull Halsey, Aaron Eckhart as Jimmy Doolittle, Nick Jonas as Bruno Guido, Alexander Ludwig as Roy Pierce, Jake Weber as Raymond Spurrance, Mark Ralston as Ernest King. I think that's pretty much the extent of the well-known actors in this one. So this movie is based around the real-life battle, 1942 battle around the Midway Islands, or the Midway Atoll, which turned out to be a strategic turning point in the war and one of the biggest naval battles in history of war. Basically, so this took place. I try to remember if it was April or June. I think it was June of 1942. Roughly, 6 and a half months after the attack on Pearl Harbor. And other than the Doolittle raid on Tokyo, this was pretty much their answer to Pearl Harbor. They, through intercepting of Japanese coded messages, they were able to strategically figure out that their next big attack was going to be on Midway. So they basically set up a trap for the Japanese that they were going to, attack their aircraft carriers and weaken their naval fleet. And basically they did just that. It's very historically accurate. It really draws you into the battles that take place in the movie. Especially the ones that take place during the Midway battle. Basically what it was, for the most part, it wasn't, even though it took place on the sea, it really involved the Navy's aircraft more than anything, launching off the U.S.'s own remaining carriers that they had. They had three. They had Hornet, USS Enterprise, and the USS Yorktown. There was a fourth one. I forget why it couldn't be in the battle, if it had just been sunk or what the deal was. But they had three. The Japanese had four. And during the course of the battle, they were able to damage and pretty much sink all four Japanese aircraft carriers. Some remained afloat, and they ended up being scuttled, though, because they were so heavily damaged during the fight. The U.S., on the other hand, only lost one of their aircraft carriers, the USS Yorktown. So it's very a good movie just from an entertainment value, but also from a historical value. Like I said, it was one of the biggest turning points of the war of World War II, and one of the biggest battles in naval history. Like I said, so it's just a really good, entertaining watch. From start to finish, it keeps you interested and involved in the film. It's gives a little character background at the beginning, but for the most part, it's just about the events leading up to Midway and then Midway itself. From what I could tell, pretty much all the actors, the characters that they played were real people. The only one that I kind of was wondering why that wasn't, she was a real person per se, but the name they chose for is Dick Best's wife. In real life, her name was Doris, if I remember correctly. And Mandy Moore, who plays his wife in the film, they chose Anna instead of Doris. I'm not really 100% sure why on that. The rest of them, as far as I could tell, the names are 100% accurate. A lot of the people, a lot of men died on both sides, but more on the Japanese, obviously, just because of the number of ships that were actually sunk, not just the aircraft carriers, but they lost, I think, one or two other ships as well. I think the total, the U.S. only lost 2 ships in the battle, the one aircraft carrier and one other ship. So it was, a lot of the men were decorated, especially the flyers, the airmen. They were decorated for their battle, as well as the code breakers were, really acknowledged for doing their part to figure out and interpret where the Japanese were going to attack next. So if you want like I said, a good movie that keeps you intrigued and involved in the film throughout the entire film, as well as, if you like a movie that's got a good historical take on it, but in an intriguing way, not just, a boring documentary kind of way, this is definitely the movie for you, all right, folks? So that's all we have for you this week. As always, if you enjoyed my video, please click that thumbs up, leave a like down below. If you feel the need, please leave a comment down below in the comment section. And as always, if you enjoy my channel, please subscribe. I greatly appreciate it. All right, take care of yourselves, folks. We'll catch you next week for another episode.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.